the little one who carried the memory of Torenza's collapse. The night was calm on the human colony of Lume. The sky showed 2 pale moons, slow and quiet, as if nothing bad had ever happened in the galaxy. People slept without fear. They believed history was settled and danger was far away. In a small living unit near the edge of the colony, a child sat awake. The child's name was Ira. Ira was small for their age, thin and quiet. Most people thought Ira was sick, or maybe just Sci. Ira rarely spoke, and when Ira did, the words were strange and heavy, like they came from someone much older. Ira sat on the floor, holding a smooth stone that no one remembered buying. The stone was dark and warm. Ira pressed it against their chest and stared at the wall. The wall was blank, but Ira saw something else. Tall towers were falling. The sky was burning. A world was dying. Ira gasped and dropped the stone. The vision faded, leaving only silence and fear. Ira hugged their knees and rocked slowly, trying to breathe. Footsteps came from the other room. A woman named Hale entered quietly. She was Ira's guardian, a caretaker assigned by the colony after Ira's parents died in a transport accident years ago. Hale had learned to watch Ira closely. Nights like this worried her. "Bad dream again?" Hale asked softly. Ira nodded, but did not look up. Hale knelt beside the child. "You're safe here," she said.
"Nothing can hurt you on Lumi," Ira whispered. "That's what they said too." Hale froze.
"Who said that?" Ira shook their head.
"I don't know. I just remember."
Hale tried to smile, but unease crept into her chest. Ira often spoke like this. Doctors said it was trauma. Hale was not so sure anymore. The next morning, the colony welcomed a visitor. A long silver ship entered orbit and descended toward the main port. It carried an alien scholar named Velm. Velm belonged to a tall, thin species known for memory studies and lost history. He had visited dozens of worlds, searching for truth, buried under lies and time. Velm came to Lume for one reason. Rumors. Whispers had reached him through broken channels. Stories of a human child who spoke of Torenza. Torenza, the name alone carried weight. It was a dead world, erased from the galaxy's maps. Official records said Torenza collapsed due to internal failure. No one questioned it anymore, except Velm. At the colony hall, Velm met with local officials. They were polite, but distant. Humans always were when outsiders asked too many questions. "There is no reason for you to stay long," one official said. "Lume is quiet. We have nothing of interest." Velm tilted his head. "Every quiet place hides something," he replied. That afternoon, Velm walked through the colony's lower districts. Children played in open areas, laughing and running. Ira sat alone on a bench, watching them with distant eyes. Velm stopped. Something pulled at his senses, a pressure, like standing near a storm before the wind arrived. Velm turned slowly and looked at Ira. Their eyes met. Ira stiffened. Velm felt it clearly now, a deep echo inside the child's mind.
"Oh."
Not human. He approached carefully. "Hello," Velm said in basic trade language. Ira did not respond. "What is your name?" "Ira," the child said after a pause. Velm crouched to be at eye level. "Do you know the name Torenza?" Ira's face went pale. The bench shook slightly as Ira's hands clenched.
"It fell," Ira whispered. "It screamed before it broke."
Velm's breath caught. He activated a small scanner, hiding it behind his sleeve. The readings spiked instantly. Impossible readings. Memories encoded in neural patterns far beyond human capacity. Ancient sensory data. Planet-wide trauma. Velm stood up quickly. "Where are your guardians?" Ira pointed toward the housing units. Velm followed, his thoughts racing. If this was real, then everything the galaxy believed was wrong. That night, Velm sent a secure message to the Galactic Council. He included only one line. Torenza did not die alone. Its memory lives in a human child. The message failed to send. Velm tried again. Blocked. His communicator flashed a warning symbol he had never seen before. Someone was listening. Far from Lumi, in deep space, dark ships changed course. On Lumi, Ira woke suddenly, heart pounding. The stone was back in their hand, though they did not remember picking it up. A voice filled Ira's mind. Calm but firm. "It is time." Ira sat up, tears running down their face. Outside, the quiet sky began to fill with shadows. The shadows in the sky grew larger as the night deepened on Lume. Ships moved slowly above the colony, hidden in clouds and darkness. They were not normal ships. Their shapes were jagged, silent, and full of menace. Ira could feel them even without looking up. A chill ran down the child's spine. Hale slept fitfully, exhausted from the previous night. She had watched Ira tremble and whisper about a world no one else remembered. The caretaker did not understand fully, but she felt the weight in the child's eyes. That weight was heavy and ancient. The next morning, Velm returned to the colony with purpose. He found Ira sitting on the same bench where they first met. The child did not play or watch others. Ira's gaze was fixed on the horizon, where the first sunlight met the dark clouds. Velm knelt beside the child. "We cannot wait," he said. "They will come for you." Ira blinked.
"Who?" Velm sighed. "Those who do not want the truth remembered."
"They cannot let Torenza be known." The child shivered. Memories stirred again. Visions of cities burning, skies dark with fire, and machines that moved with thought alone. Ira could feel the sorrow of an entire world pressing down. Velm placed a hand on Ira's shoulder. "I will protect you, but we must leave Lume now." Hale appeared, worry etched into her face. "Velm, is it safe? Are you sure?" Velm looked at her, serious. "Not safe anywhere, but I promise I will not let anyone harm the child." Hale nodded slowly. She trusted Velm's wisdom, though fear gripped her heart. She packed only essentials, fearing that any delay might cost them everything. By noon, they boarded a small transport, one that could hide among asteroid fields and avoid patrols. Marek, a human assigned to protect important colonies, joined them. He was tall, strong, and silent, used to obeying orders without question. Marek did not understand why Ira was so important. He only knew the child had to be kept safe. The transport lifted from Lume, leaving the colony behind, shrouded in quiet tension. The first jump through the stars was slow and careful. Velm monitored sensors constantly, aware that the unknown hunters were close. Their motives were clear to him, though. They remained hidden for now. Ira was a threat to the balance of a hidden galactic secret. Inside the transport, Ira finally spoke. "The sky burned," the child said softly, "and I could hear their screams." Marek frowned. "Whose screams?" Ira turned to him, eyes wide. "Torenza's, the people. They were afraid. They knew humans would come, but not why." Velm held his breath. This child was not imagining. Ira remembered a world the galaxy had tried to erase, and Ira's memory was perfect, vivid, and alive. Suddenly, the sensors beeped. Unknown ships had detected them. The jump sequence began immediately. The stars stretched into lines as the transport slipped into hyperspace. The hunters were fast, faster than anything Velm had encountered before. Ira pressed against the wall, gripping the stone from the night before. It vibrated slightly in the child's hand. The memories surged. Ira saw a Torenzan council, vast and metallic, debating a weapon that could destroy worlds. The council was desperate, pleading with humans to stop them. But humans acted. A decision was made. A terrible decision. Velm noticed Ira's face pale. "Do not panic," he whispered. "The memory is not yours."
You only carry it. Ira shook their head. It feels like mine.
I remember being everywhere, seeing everything. I hear them asking for mercy, and I cannot help. Marek, who had been quiet until now, said, "You are strong, kid. Whatever this is, it's bigger than us. But we'll face it together." The transport exited hyperspace into a region of scattered asteroids and dead moons. Velm guided them through the labyrinth of rocks, hoping the hunters would not follow so easily. But the child's visions grew stronger. Ira began to describe each asteroid as if it had been part of Torenza's orbit once. "This one is where the towers fell," Ira whispered. "And that one, it burned first." Velm exchanged a look with Mark. This knowledge was impossible. The child could not have seen Torenza, yet the details were precise, down to shapes, colors, and sounds. That night, they rested on a small, hidden moon. The transport was camouflaged in shadows. Velm studied Ira while the child slept fitfully. Something stirred in the child's mind. Not a dream this time, but a memory waking with purpose. Ira sat up, speaking words. None of them understood. Velm's eyes widened. The child was communicating with something buried deep in the memory, something that had waited for Ira to remember fully. Marek watched silently, sensing the importance but not understanding. He only knew that he had to keep Ira alive, whatever the cost. Outside, the hunters were patient. They waited in silence, letting the human transport rest before they struck. They knew the child could not escape for long, and when the time came, they would take the memory of Torenza from the galaxy forever. Inside the small moon's shelter, Ira's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. The child spoke again, recalling the collapse in more detail than ever before. The towers crumbled first, then the machines, and finally the streets. People ran, but nowhere was safe. And above it all, humans moved quietly, making a choice no one else could understand. Velm felt a weight in his chest. The child was not just remembering. Ira was reliving the end of a world. Marek placed a hand on Velm's shoulder. "We need to move," he said quietly. "They'll find us if we wait too long." Velm nodded. "I know. But Ira cannot run without understanding. The child must see why the world fell." The next morning, they prepared to leave the moon. Velm had a plan to reach a hidden human vault far beyond the borders of common space.
There, Ira could learn safely.
But the journey would not be easy. Ira held the stone tightly. "They will come for me," the child said. "I can feel it," Velm replied. "Yes, but we will not let them catch you."
"You are not alone." Marek revved the engines and the transport lifted from the shadowed moon, slipping into the dark void.
Each jump brought them closer to the vault. Each jump made the hunters angrier. As they moved through space, Ira's memories became clearer. The child could name leaders of Torenza, describe their faces, and recall the moments of their fear and confusion. Ira spoke of sky cities, of machines moving like living things, and of a sound that humans could never hear, a scream of a dying planet. Velm took careful notes, but he did not interfere. The child's memory was sacred and complete. Velm understood that Ira carried not only history, but the responsibility of remembering what the galaxy had tried to forget. Marek watched, silent but vigilant. The child's burden was enormous, but he felt a spark of hope. Humans could bear a heavy truth if it was for the sake of life itself. The galaxy might not understand, but they could endure. They had to. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to the small group fleeing across space. Shadows waited, patience unbroken, ready to strike at the first mistake. And Ira, the little one carrying the memory of Torenza, sat quietly, stone in hand, ready to remember everything. The transport moved slowly through the scattered asteroid field, each rock a silent guardian of the galaxy's forgotten corners. Velm guided the ship carefully, knowing the hunters were close behind. They were patient but relentless. If they caught even a glimpse of Ira, they would strike without mercy. Ira sat quietly in the back, stone in hand, eyes distant. The child's mind was a storm of memories, flashes of Torenza that came with sharper detail every hour. Velm observed, worried that the strain might overwhelm the child. Marek, seated near the controls, kept scanning the skies, his muscles tense, ready to react at a moment's notice. "I remember the towers falling first," Ira whispered. "The streets burned after, and the sky, it became fire. I saw the leaders run, but no, one could hide." Velm nodded slowly. "It is important to remember, child. Not to judge, but to understand. Your memory is more than a gift. It is a responsibility." Marek's voice was low. "Responsibility, huh? Sounds heavy for someone so small." Ira looked at him, expression serious. "It is. I carry them all. The people, the machines, the fire, and humans. They made a choice that night. I remember everything." Velm took a deep breath. The memory was larger than any archive he had ever studied. He understood why the galaxy had erased Torenza's story, but here it was, alive inside a human child, untainted and precise. No one could argue with it. Suddenly, the sensors flashed a warning. Velm's heart sank. The hunters had found them again. Ships emerged from the shadows faster and more advanced than the transport could outrun. Marek adjusted the controls, weaving through the asteroid field in a desperate attempt to evade pursuit. "They know where we are," Marek said. "We cannot stay here long." Velm nodded. "Ira, you must focus. Your memory can guide us. You can see the paths that are safe, even in the dark." Ira closed their eyes, stone pressed to their chest. The visions came fast, a flood of Torenza's final hours. "There is a path between the clusters. Go there," the child said. "The hunters cannot follow easily." Marek followed the instructions, twisting the transport through narrow passages and hidden caves in the asteroid belt. The hunters' ships struggled to keep up, some colliding with small rocks. The chase was tense, every second stretching into minutes of terror. Velm watched Ira carefully. "You are strong, child. Your memory saves us now." Ira nodded, but the child's face was pale and drawn. Memories were heavy, and the child's small body trembled under the weight. Velm feared that if they did not reach safety soon, the strain could break Ira. Hours passed. The transport finally emerged from the asteroid field into a region of calm, dark space. Velm guided them toward an old human vault, a place hidden for centuries, built to protect knowledge and artifacts that could not be trusted to the public. As they approached the vault, Ira spoke again, voice barely a whisper. The leaders of Torenza. They were not evil. They were afraid. They wanted power, yes, but they were dying. Their world was ending, and they made choices they thought would save themselves. Velm nodded, understanding the child's insight. Humans did not act out of hate. They acted out of survival. You carry both the truth of Torenza and the truth of humanity. The transport landed on the vault's surface, a hidden platform orbiting a dead star. Velm guided them inside. The interior was vast, with rows of ancient data storage devices, some older than any human had built. Here, Ira could access the story safely, without danger of the hunter's immediate attack. Ira walked slowly through the halls, touching devices and recalling memories. The stone in their hand vibrated faintly, as if acknowledging that the child had arrived at the place of memory. Velm and Marek watched silently. The child's connection to Torenza was a marvel, but it was also dangerous. They could not leave Ira alone for long, yet the child needed solitude to understand the memories fully. That night, as the vault's lights dimmed to low glow, Ira sat before a projection device. The child's eyes glowed faintly as the memories unfolded, cities crumbling, skies filled with smoke, machines moving in patterns that defied logic, and humans intervening with decisions that would be questioned for centuries. Suddenly, alarms blared across the vault. The hunters had tracked them, finding the vault's location. Velm cursed under his breath. The hidden sanctuary was no longer safe. Marek drew his weapon, stepping in front of Ira. "They'll have to go through me first," he said, voice firm, unyielding. Velm activated defensive measures, energy shields forming around the vault's entrance. But he knew it was only a temporary solution. The hunters were relentless, and their ships were powerful. Ira stood, small but determined. They will not take the memory. I will not let them. Velm felt a surge of pride. The child was not only a vessel of history, but a guardian of truth. The hunter's ships appeared in orbit, weapons charging. Velm and Marek prepared for battle, while Ira focused inward, letting the memories guide them. The child's visions became tactical, showing safe exits, hidden paths, and weak points in the hunter's formation. The first strike came. Energy blasts tore through the vault's outer defenses. Marek returned fire while Velm guided the shields, trying to buy time. Ira's voice rang out clear and commanding. "Move to the lower tunnels! Follow me!" Velm and Marek obeyed, leading the child through labyrinthine passages beneath the vault. The tunnels were dark, twisting, and filled with echoes of ancient history. Ira's memory guided every step, avoiding traps and structural weaknesses. Above them, the hunters' ships struggled to adjust, their attacks less precise in the winding tunnels. Velm marveled at Ira's instinct, the child moving with knowledge no human could possess. Finally, they reached a chamber deep within the vault, where data cores stored the most vital records of human involvement in Torenza's collapse. Ira placed the stone on a console, activating a projection of Torenza's last days. The images were clear and undeniable. Cities falling, sky burning, humans making the difficult choice to intervene, and the final moments of Torenza's leaders, desperate and afraid. Every detail was precise, unaltered by time or interpretation. Velm watched, awestruck.
"No one will doubt this," he said softly.
"The galaxy will see the truth." Ira looked at him, eyes weary but resolute. "They may try to destroy it. They may try to erase me, but the memory will live. I will carry it until everyone understands." Marek lowered his weapon slightly, impressed by the child's courage. "You are remarkable, Ira. Stronger than anyone I have met." Suddenly, the tunnels shook. A secondary attack breached the outer walls, and a flood of light illuminated the chamber. The hunters were entering the vault, determined to seize the child and erase the memory forever. Velm activated emergency defense protocols, sealing doors and redirecting energy to protective barriers. Marek positioned himself in front of Ira, prepared to fight. The child did not panic. Ira reached out, touching the projection device, and a network of holographic images expanded to fill the chamber. The light was blinding, and for a moment the hunters faltered, unsure how to approach. Velm whispered, "Your memory is your shield, child."
"Keep 'em out!" Ira nodded, focus unwavering.
The memories of Torenza became a map, a strategy, a guide to survival. Every pulse, every flash of history directed their moves and decisions. The battle within the vault escalated. Explosions shook the corridors, alarms screamed, and energy blasts ricocheted. Yet Ira remained calm, moving through the chamber with precision, the memory guiding every step. Velm and Marek fought alongside the child, buying time to complete the activation of the projection system. If the system went online fully, the memory of Torenza would be broadcast across safe channels, impossible to erase completely. Finally, the device hummed to life, sending data streams outward, protected by encryption and defensive algorithms. The hunters realized they could not intercept it all, that the truth was escaping their grasp. Velm exhaled, relief washing over him. The child had succeeded, even as the vault shook under attack. Ira sank to the floor, exhausted. The stone had stopped vibrating, but the memory within the child remained alive and powerful. The child had carried the burden of Torenza and had begun the work of sharing its story with the galaxy. Marek knelt beside Ira. "Rest now. You've done more than anyone thought possible." Velm stood, watching the projections, knowing that the galaxy would soon face the truth. And at the center of it all was a small child, who carried the memory of a world long erased, strong enough to ensure it would never be forgotten. The vault trembled with the echoes of the attack, yet deep within, the child remained calm. Ira sat on the cold floor, the stone resting beside them. The memory of Torenza was vivid, a living map inside the child's mind. Each detail was clear, each emotion precise. The collapse of a world was no longer history. It was alive, and Ira carried it. Vel moved cautiously through the corridors, repairing minor breaches in the energy shields. Marek kept watch at every doorway, weapon ready, muscles tense. The hunters were relentless. Their ships circled in orbit, waiting for a chance to strike again. And they were clever. They had tracked the child before, and they would not give up. Ira lifted their gaze, eyes steady. "We cannot wait. They will not stop until they have taken the memory. I know their plan. They want to erase everything." Velm nodded. "We must move deeper. There is a chamber below, built to protect knowledge when the galaxy forgets. We can use it to preserve Torenza's story safely." Marek glanced at the child. "Safe or not, they're going to follow us. How long do you think we can last?" Ira touched the stone, feeling the pulse of memory. "They cannot follow exactly, The memory shows paths they cannot see. It will guide us. They moved quietly through hidden passages, the vault twisting beneath them like a maze. Each turn seemed impossible, yet Ira led the way, every step precise, every choice dictated by the memory of a dying world. The child's visions were detailed: streets, towers, machines, even the sound of fire crackling through the city. Velm marveled at the clarity. No human could remember so much, yet Ira did. Hours passed. The hunters made their move, breaching parts of the upper vault. Velm and Marek could hear the distant hum of energy weapons, the sharp clatter of alarms, but Ira was calm, leading them through corridors that shifted underfoot, passageways few humans had seen, even the vault's own defenders. It was as if the child's mind was part of the building, aware of every weakness, every hidden exit. They reached the lower chamber, vast and quiet. Ancient devices lined the walls, holding records and artifacts that no one dared touch. The air was cool, carrying the faint smell of metal and old machinery. Here, Velm and Marek set up defenses while Ira prepared to activate the main memory core. The child placed the stone on a console, and a holographic network expanded, displaying the final hours of Torenza. The sky burned red, towers crumbled, machines moved like living things, and the leaders of the world ran, desperate and afraid. Humans appeared in the images, making choices that would haunt history. Every detail was precise. Every act, every sound, every emotion was captured. Velm felt a chill. The child's memory was perfect. It could not be faked. The galaxy could no longer claim ignorance. The truth of Torenza would survive. Mara kept watch at the doorway, ready for the hunters. They won't leave us alone. We can hold them for a while, but eventually they'll break through. Ira's voice was calm, determined. Then we must be ready. I will not let them take this from the galaxy. Not now. Not ever. Velm and Marek exchanged a glance. The child's resolve was unwavering. For the first time, they realized that Ira was not just carrying memories. The child was a guardian, a vessel of history strong enough to resist any force. Suddenly, the vault shook violently. The hunters had found a secondary entry point, breaching the outer walls. Light and energy surged through the corridors as the attack escalated. Velm activated emergency protocols, sealing sections, and redirecting power to barriers. Marek moved swiftly, blocking hallways and defending the child. Ira focused on the memory, expanding the holographic network. The images filled the chamber, light reflecting on walls and faces. The hunters faltered, confused by the overwhelming detail. It was impossible to erase what was now alive inside the vault. Impossible to seize it without entering the chamber and risking their own destruction. The battle continued. Energy blasts shook the ground, alarms screamed, and the walls trembled. Yet Ira moved with precision, guiding Velm and Marek through safe paths, using the memory as a map, a shield, and a strategy. Finally, the main memory core activated fully. Streams of data began flowing outward, encrypted and secure. The child's memory was safe, hidden in channels that the hunters could not access. Torenza's story could no longer be erased, no matter the cost. Ira sank to the floor, exhausted but unbroken. The child had done what no one else could. The memory was alive, powerful, and free from the hunter's control. Velm knelt beside Ira, placing a hand on their shoulder. You've done it. You've protected the memory. Marek, still on guard, lowered his weapon slightly. You've carried more than anyone should. Stronger than anyone I know. The child looked at them, small, yet unyielding. It is not about strength. It is about remembering. The galaxy cannot forget. Not Torenza, not humans, not the cost of their choices. Outside, the hunters regrouped, furious at their failure. Their ships hovered, waiting for a moment of weakness. But inside the vault, the child's memory had created a barrier they could not penetrate. The story of Torenza was alive, indestructible, and carried by the smallest of beings. Velm took a deep breath, relief washing over him. The truth will survive. The galaxy will know, and we will protect it as long as we can. Ira closed their eyes, the stone resting in their lap. Exhaustion and relief mingled as the child allowed a brief moment of rest. The memory remained within, alive and ready, a flame that could not be extinguished. Marek watched the child with respect. "You've changed everything," he said softly. "We may not be understood, but what we've done matters. You matter." Velm nodded. "History lives because of you. And perhaps now, the galaxy can finally understand the weight of its choices." Ira's lips curled slightly, a faint smile. The child had carried the memory of a world, survived an impossible pursuit, and protected a truth that many wanted forgotten. And despite the dangers still lurking outside, the child knew that the first step had been taken. The story of Torenza would live, and the galaxy would never be able to deny it again. The galaxy began to stir as the memory of Torenza spread through secure channels. Worlds that had never questioned the collapse of the alien planet now received undeniable evidence. Images of cities burning, skies aflame, and humans making a choice that destroyed the world reached every corner of space. No longer could anyone claim ignorance. Ira, small yet unyielding, sat in the center of the hidden vault. The child had grown stronger in spirit, carrying the memory as fully as the first time it had awakened. The stone rested gently in their hands, humming softly, a steady heartbeat that connected Ira to the past. Velm moved cautiously through the vault, monitoring outgoing transmissions. The encrypted streams carried the story of Torenza to archives and neutral stations across the galaxy. They were secure, nearly impossible to block or erase. Marek paced near the entrance, eyes sharp. "They're not going to take this line down," he said. "Hunters, rogue factions, anyone who wants the truth hidden, they'll come. We have to be ready." Ira's gaze was distant but focused. "Let them come. They cannot take what is already alive. The memory cannot be destroyed, and if they try, the story will spread faster." Hours passed as the child monitored the flows of information, ensuring the transmissions remained uninterrupted. Velm worked alongside Ira, guiding the encryption and checking data nodes. Marek remained on alert, every sense tuned to the possibility of attack. The first strike came at dawn. Ships appeared suddenly, massive and dark, breaching orbit around the vault. The hunters had discovered the location and were determined to capture the child and silence the memory forever. Marek reacted immediately, firing energy pulses at the incoming vessels. Velm activated defensive shields while coordinating with remote stations to create false signals and decoys. Yet the hunters were skilled, breaking through most of the early defenses with precision and speed. Ira did not panic. The child's memory guided every move, every step. "Move to the lower chambers," Ira commanded. "Follow me." Velm and Marek obeyed, leading the child through twisting corridors and secret passageways beneath the vault. Each turn was dictated by the memory, revealing hidden pathways and structural weaknesses that the hunters could not anticipate. It was as if Torenza itself was guiding them through space and time, protecting the last witness of its existence. In the lower chamber, Ira placed the stone on a console and expanded the holographic projection. The images of Torenza filled the room, casting brilliant light across the walls. The hunters faltered, overwhelmed by the clarity and intensity of the memory. It was no longer something that could be erased. The child had made it impossible. Velm glanced at Ira, impressed. "You've turned your memory into a weapon of truth. No one can deny it now." Ira's voice was steady. "Not a weapon. A witness. The galaxy must see what happened. They must understand the cost of our choices." Outside, the hunters regrouped. Their patience was great, but their frustration grew. They could not risk entering the lower chamber directly. The holographic projections were too dangerous, too precise, and any direct assault might destroy the very thing they sought to take. Yet they did not give up, circling and striking intermittently, testing defenses and attempting to breach sections of the vault. Marek fired tirelessly, holding them off as Velm recalibrated shields and data transmissions. Ira monitored the projections, guiding Velm with insights from memory. Every detail of Torenza's collapse was accounted for, and the child's knowledge allowed them to anticipate attacks and protect the flow of information. Hours turned into a long, tense day. The hunters became desperate, more aggressive, but their strikes were less coordinated. Velm and Marek worked in tandem with Ira, each movement informed by the child's visions of the past. Finally, the transmissions reached critical nodes across the galaxy. The story of Torenza was secure. Every world had a copy, stored safely, with encrypted channels ensuring it could not be tampered with. The hunters realized they had failed to erase the memory. Frustration and fear filled their ranks, but they could do nothing against a child who carried the weight of a dead world in their mind. Ira slumped slightly, exhausted but victorious. The stone's hum softened, like a heartbeat slowing after a long run. Velm knelt beside the child, pride shining in his eyes. "You have done more than anyone could have imagined.
You have given the galaxy truth, and no one can take that from you."
Marek lowered his weapon, finally allowing himself to relax. "You've carried something heavier than most of us could bear, kid. You've protected it when no one else could. We owe you everything." Ira's eyes were weary, but there was a glimmer of satisfaction. "I am only the memory," the child said. "The story belongs to the galaxy now. It will live, and the truth will not be hidden again." Outside the vault, the hunters retreated, defeated for the time being. Their patience was not gone, but they were cautious now. They knew the child was protected by more than walls and weapons. The memory itself was a shield. Velm, Marek, and Ira sat together in silence, listening to the faint hum of the vault's systems. The battle was not over, but a major victory had been achieved. The story of Torenza, once lost and erased, was now alive and unstoppable. Ira looked at Velm and Marek. "We have done it," the child said softly. "The memory will survive, and the galaxy will finally know." Velm nodded. "Yes, child. And because of you, the galaxy will remember not only Torenza, but the humans who carried the burden of the choice that saved countless lives." Marek smiled faintly. "And maybe now the galaxy will see that even a small one can carry a weight greater than any army or weapon. You've shown us that strength comes in many forms." Ira held the stone, the pulse steady and calm. The child had survived, had protected the memory, and had ensured that the truth of Torenza would live. The galaxy would never forget again, and the little one who carried the memory had fulfilled a purpose far greater than any could have imagined. The galaxy had changed. Information spread through secure channels like sparks in a dry forest, igniting curiosity, fear, and understanding in equal measure. Worlds that had long believed the story of Torenza to be simple or forgotten now confronted undeniable truth. Images, holograms, and transmissions from the hidden vault carried every detail, every emotion, every choice that had led to the planet's collapse. Ira sat quietly in the lower chamber of the vault. The stone, now warm and calm, rested in their small hands. The child's eyes were heavy with fatigue, but also with determination. For months, the memory of Torenza had guided them, protected them, and shaped them into more than a child. They had become the living witness to history. Velm worked near the data nodes, ensuring transmissions remained active and secure. He monitored every relay, every station that had received the encrypted memory streams. He knew that despite the child's bravery, danger had not vanished. Those who sought to silence the truth might still try to strike, but for now, the story was safe. Marek stood by the vault entrance, weapon ready, watching the darkness of space. He had learned to trust Ira's instincts, following the child's guidance through corridors and traps that no ordinary human could navigate. The bond among the three had grown stronger through shared danger, struggle, and the weight of history. Ira lifted the stone, tracing patterns with their fingers. "It is finished," the child said softly. "The memory is alive. It cannot be destroyed." "And the galaxy will know," Velm nodded. "Yes, but the story is more than just memory. It is a lesson. Humans carried the burden of choice, and now the universe can understand their cost." Marek leaned against the wall, exhaustion evident. "You've done what no army or fleet could do, kid. You've made the galaxy face the truth. That's more than anyone expected." Outside, the hunters had retreated for now. Their ships lingered at a distance, unwilling to risk a direct assault against a vault protected not just by walls and shields, but by a child whose mind carried the history of a dead world. They watched, frustrated and cautious, knowing the memory could not be taken without destroying themselves in the attempt. Inside, Ira focused on the holographic projections. Cities of Torenza burned, skies flamed, leaders ran, and humans made choices that changed the course of countless lives. Every detail was precise, every sound, every movement captured in the child's mind. The memory was no longer fragile. It had become an unbreakable testament to history. Velm activated the final stage of the Vault's transmission protocols. The story of Torenza flowed through the network, reaching archives, research stations, and observation outposts. The memory could not be blocked or erased. For the first time in centuries, the truth was free. Ira sighed, small shoulders trembling. The weight of carrying the memory was heavy, but the child had endured it all. "I have seen everything," Ira whispered. "And now I can rest. The memory is safe." Velm knelt beside the child. "You've done more than anyone could. You've preserved history, protected life, and ensured the galaxy will remember. Your bravery is remarkable." Marek stepped forward, offering a rare smile. "And maybe the galaxy will finally understand that strength comes in many forms. Sometimes the smallest can carry the greatest weight." Ira nodded, eyes softening. The child's purpose was fulfilled. The memory of Torenza, once at risk of being forgotten forever, now lived on, secure and undeniable. The child had been more than a witness. They had been a guardian, a protector of truth, and a symbol of the human capacity to carry responsibility and courage. The stone in Ira's hands pulsed faintly, then stilled. The child leaned back, allowing themselves a rare moment of rest. Outside the vault, stars shone quietly, indifferent to the battles and memories below, but witnesses nonetheless to the survival of history. Velm and Marek sat with the child, sharing the quiet moment. The danger had not vanished entirely, but the story was safe, and that was enough for now. The galaxy would never again forget Torenza, and humans would be seen not only as survivors, but as bearers of truth and courage. Ira smiled faintly, exhaustion and relief mingling. The story will live, the child said, and someday others will remember the cost and the lesson, and maybe choose differently. Velm nodded.
Yes, child, and the galaxy will owe you more than words can express. Marek leaned back, arms crossed.
And maybe now the smallest one will be remembered as the strongest. You've changed everything, Ira. The child held the stone one last time, feeling the memory settle peacefully within. The weight of a dead world was now a living story, ready to teach, guide, and warn the galaxy for generations to come. The little one who carried the memory had completed their purpose, and in doing so had reshaped the understanding of history, courage, and the power of a single life. Outside, the stars continued their quiet journey across the sky. The galaxy had witnessed a small child bearing the memory of a lost world, surviving impossible odds, and preserving truth that no force could erase. Ira's story and the story of Torenza would live on forever, unbroken and unforgettable.